Nearly 700 pages of declassified documents related to the FBI's Operation Crossfire Hurricane were released, following an executive order by President Donald Trump on March 25, 2025. Operation Crossfire Hurricane was the FBI's counterintelligence investigation, initiated on July 31, 2016, to probe potential links between Donald Trump's presidential campaign and Russia. Sparked by a tip from Australian diplomat Alexander Downer that Trump aide George Papadopoulos mentioned Russia having dirt on Hillary Clinton, the probe targeted Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and Michael Flynn. Now, I don't know about you, but with all the corruption being found inside our government, why would they investigate Trump's associates because Russia had dirt on Hillary Clinton? We must not lose sight of how much this investigation cost the American people and the entire world, both financially and diplomatically. The only motive I can find was to suppress anything that was out there against Clinton. That alone brings question about the workings of the FBI and other agencies that have such influence over our country, but we'll let this unfold and you tell me what you think. Led by FBI Director James Comey, Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and Agent Peter Strzok, it ran until May 17, 2017, when Special Counsel Robert Mueller took over. Remember Russia, Russia, Russia? The documents, often referred to as the Russiagate binder, were turned over to Congress by FBI Director Kash Patel, but we don't know what was destroyed before his tenure began. The files include emails, interview summaries, FBI memos, and notes related to the investigation, including details on the bogus Steele Dossier that alleged Trump-Russia connections. The files also cover the FBI's use of informants like Stephen Halper. So let's break down this voluminous release piece by piece and try to figure out what was going on. Crossfire Hurricane was a taxpayer-funded FBI operation, alleging no direct private funding, but we will learn how private money paid for external elements or trumped-up evidence. First, there was the Steele Dossier, which is a set of unverified reports alleging that Trump had ties to Russia. The dossier, however, was funded by the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's campaign. Then there was Stephen Halper, an FBI informant who had been paid $1.2 million over decades, including $70,000 during 2016 and 2017 for targeting Trump aides. These elements of the investigation drove a narrative far beyond the FBI's independent investigation, will be detailed below. The FBI paid Halper $1,181,064.41 from 1991 to 2017 as a confidential human source codenamed Mitch, with $70,000 specifically for his work in Crossfire Hurricane. The Pentagon's Office of Net Assessment also paid him $1.05 million from 2012 to 2016 for research papers, per a 2019 DoD Inspector General report. The April 2025 declassified documents confirm these sums. Halper's FBI funds covered his efforts to engage the Trump aides Page, Papadopoulos, and Sam Clovis for intelligence on Russian ties. He attended events, recorded talks, and made claims like Flynn's alleged 2014 encounter with Svetlana Lokova, who claims that she didn't know she was being used as a pawn. Pentagon payments were allegedly for policy studies on China and Russia, but lax oversight reveals possible overlap with FBI work. The Pentagon money documents note Halper sought monetary compensation for his role. So what's the big deal with the Pentagon paying for FBI investigative leads or evidence, you might ask? First, it violates the Posse Comitatus Act, 18 U.S.C. Section 1385, which is a U.S. law that prohibits the military from engaging in domestic law enforcement activities, like arrests or surveillance, without congressional approval or a presidential emergency order. It aims to keep military and civilian roles separate, preventing martial law or military overreach in domestic affairs, such as FBI investigations. Beyond eroding trust, Pentagon-FBI funding overlap, like Halper's $1.05 million Pentagon and $1.2 million FBI payments, could enable a covert system where agencies illegally target citizens, as seen in Crossfire Hurricane, with virtually no accountability. This risks systemic political persecution, unchecked surveillance, and democratic sabotage, which all happened in Crossfire Hurricane. In the April 2025 documents, Halper claimed that Michael Flynn left a 2014 Cambridge seminar with Svetlana Lokova, a Russian-born academic, inferring an improper and compromising interaction. FBI agent William Barnett debunked this by late 2016, stating it was not accurate and implausible, as Flynn, then director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, had escorts and didn't leave with Lokova. It's not illegal for a U.S. citizen, even a former DIA director, to speak with a Russian academic in a public setting. No law prohibits such contact unless it involves espionage or classified leaks, which wasn't alleged here. Halper's claim that Flynn left with Lokova was used to suggest he was vulnerable to Russian influence, implying a private, compromising meeting. The FBI, per the 2025 documents, treated this as a potential counterintelligence risk, even though there was absolutely no evidence of collusion such as data exchanges. Its use was completely baseless, yet the FBI still opened a probe partly based on this falsehood. The decorated General Flynn faced severe financial strain from legal costs exceeding $7 million and the loss of his home. His life was destroyed by this unfounded prosecution, and finally, Flynn pled guilty to lying about Russian calls. He faced job loss, public stigma as a traitor, and family distress, despite no evidence of wrongdoing. Also, FISA surveillance that was later deemed illegal ruined Carter Page's career, costing legal fees and harassment. A former Trump campaign foreign policy advisor, Page was surveilled under 4 separate FISA warrants, which were later deemed partly invalid per the April 2025 documents. Page was never charged and was cleared of wrongdoing. So that you understand the abuse here, you must understand what a FISA warrant is. A FISA warrant is a type of surveillance warrant issued under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. Its intended use is by U.S. intelligence agencies to monitor foreign spies, terrorists, or agents of foreign powers. FISA warrants are approved by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC, a secret court. These warrants are for national security and intelligence gathering, not criminal prosecution. The red flags were that FISA proceedings are classified and not open to the public, whereas regular warrants are usually part of open court records, so this strategy kept the actions hidden from everyone. FISA uses a lower threshold, requiring probable cause that the target is an agent of a foreign power. No crime is necessary. Regular warrants need probable cause that a crime has been or will be committed. FISA warrants are not intended to target U.S. politicians or to evade the standard burden of proof in criminal courts. Their primary purpose is to enable U.S. intelligence agencies to gather foreign intelligence on individuals suspected of acting on behalf of foreign governments or for threats to national security. Operation Crossfire Hurricane involved serious irregularities in how FISA warrants were obtained. Inspector General of the DOJ, Michael Horowitz, released a report in 2019 identifying 17 significant errors and omissions in the FBI's applications to surveil Carter Page, a former Trump campaign advisor. There's that number 17 again. These irregularities in obtaining the warrants included omitting exculpatory evidence, relying heavily on the Steele Dossier, which was later found to be unverified and partly discredited, repeatedly renewing the FISA warrants while failing to correct known errors in prior applications, and altering an email by FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith, who was actually convicted for this falsification, which misrepresented facts to the FISA court. The judges who approved the FISA warrants in Operation Crossfire Hurricane were all appointed by Chief Justice John Roberts, who has been an ongoing concern for years as to his political control. FISA was created for foreign intelligence, not domestic politics. If a sitting administration uses it against a political rival, it raises concerns that intelligence tools could be weaponized to gain political advantage. This is akin to authoritarian regimes surveilling opponents to maintain power. We must begin to question the use of covert courts that operate with little oversight, and we must question why the FISA judges didn't deny new warrants when it was revealed that they were based largely on the false propaganda document known as the Steele Dossier. Before we look at the bogus Steele Dossier used to conduct illegal surveillance and prosecutions of patriots, let me ask you to help out the channel by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. One of the best things you can do is share this video in the spirit of disclosure so we can awaken the masses and get this show rolling. I appreciate each of you more than you know. Now let's check out the Steele Dossier that so much of these illegal activities stemmed from. As mentioned, the Steele Dossier was paid for by the Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Convention. This document was critical in fueling media frenzy. Despite being completely unverified, the dossier was leaked to BuzzFeed in January 2017 and greatly damaged Trump's reputation. This dossier was a book of lies. Specifically, Report 80, the Moscow hotel incident in which the dossier claimed that Trump hired Russian prostitutes in 2013 for golden showers on a hotel bed. This was debunked as lies by Igor Danchenko in 2017 per 2025 documents. No evidence ever found. Report 112, the St. Petersburg orgies. The Steele Dossier also alleged that Trump engaged in deranged sexual orgies, monitored by Russia. There was no corroboration of this story. Report 95, a Russian asset. The dossier also claimed that Trump was a Kremlin asset for years, compromising behavior. This was disproven by Mueller and the declassified documents showing no ties, but the Mueller Report, which is linked, clearly shows me that Mueller was trying to please both sides and failed to provide emphatic conclusions. Compiled by Christopher Steele, the dossier is 17 unverified reports by Orbis Business Intelligence, alleging Trump-Russia ties. Again, for those that know, there's that number 17 again. Hillary Clinton pushed the debunked and unfounded Russian hacking to smear Trump, and numerous other politicians and media outlets used these lies to discredit President Trump. We're going to run through them so you know who is spreading lies. BuzzFeed published the full dossier despite noting its unverified claims, giving it massive exposure. CNN reported that Trump was briefed on the dossier, airing unverified allegations like compromising relations with Russia, with anchors like Anderson Cooper lending it credence. On MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace, and Chris Hayes repeatedly touted the dossier claims, asserting that they weren't disproven despite no verification. The Washington Post published stories citing dossier claims, later correcting 2 articles in 2021 after Danchenko's indictment exposed flaws. The New York Times reporters like David Sanger and Eric Lichtblau covered dossier allegations, amplifying unverified claims about Trump and Russia ties. The New Yorker magazine's Jane Mayer met Steele in 2016 and reported on the fake dossier claims, framing them as credible intelligence. On ABC News, Matt Mosk, briefed by Steele, aired dossier-based stories on unverified Trump and Russia links. Mother Jones's David Korn's October 2016 article first publicized dossier claims, boosting their circulation pre-election. But that wasn't enough. Numerous politicians hyped the bogus Steele dossier to discredit Trump. Democratic California Representative Adam Schiff, as the House Intelligence Committee ranking member, frequently cited the dossier allegations in hearings during 2017 and 2018, claiming they warranted investigation. Senator Dianne Feinstein, another California Democrat, declared in 2018 that not a single revelation in the dossier was refuted, hyping its credibility. Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia, touted that dossier claims were neither proven nor disproven, urging probes. And Senator John McCain, a Republican from Arizona, shared the dossier with the FBI in late 2016, despite its unverified nature. Did you get that, guys? Clinton, a Democrat, paid for the fake dossier, and McCain, a Republican rhino, gave it to the FBI to hide Clinton's involvement. Remember that Republicans and Democrats are two wings on the same bird. It's not the party that's important, it's the candidate. When did we forget that? Per the recently declassified documents and Mueller's 2019 report, the dossier claims were unverified or disproven. These media outlets and political figures amplified the dossier early on, funding which was later exposed by The Washington Post. The FBI corruption became evident. Peter Strzok was a senior FBI agent serving as Deputy Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division. He led the Crossfire hurricane probe and briefly worked on Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation. According to the documents, text messages between Strzok and Lisa Page, an FBI lawyer who he was sleeping with, indicate that Strzok discussed a media leak strategy with Lisa Page, congratulating her on articles about Carter Page's FISA warrant, which used the unverified Steele dossier claims to obtain numerous FISA warrants. A December 2016 text referenced sisters leaking, implying broader agency leaks to disseminate the dossier lies. Texts between the two also referenced an insurance policy. He wrote, "I want to believe the path you threw out in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before 40. Strzok and Page's 2018 testimonies claimed the insurance policy meant intensifying the Crossfire hurricane probe to quickly assess the Trump campaign and Russia ties, not to sabotage Trump. So who was this Andy that Strzok laid out a plan to stop Trump from being elected? Andy refers to Andrew McCabe, then FBI Deputy Director who took over James Comey's position after President Trump fired him. Beyond the insurance policy text, the documents show McCabe approved flawed FISA warrants, pushed Flynn's probe despite Halper's debunked claim, and opened a 2017 Trump obstruction probe due to Comey's firing. McCabe cited Comey's dismissal and dossier-driven suspicions despite their unverified status, so even the people who replaced deep state operatives were compromised. James Comey, as FBI director, made several public statements that falsely implicated Trump. Notably, in his March 2017 Senate testimony, Comey confirmed the FBI was investigating ties between Trump's campaign and Russia, amplifying the unverified Steele dossier claims without disclosing their lack of corroboration. His June 2017 testimony after being fired accused Trump of pressuring him to drop the Flynn probe, by saying, "I hope you can let this go," which fueled media narratives of obstruction. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's May 9, 2017 memo criticized Comey's handling of the Clinton email investigation. In a July 2016 press conference, Comey publicly called Clinton's email practices extremely careless, but recommended no charges, overstepping the DOJ norms by announcing findings without AG approval. In an October 2016 letter, Comey informed Congress of reopened email probes days before the election, potentially influencing voters, which Rosenstein called a breach of protocol as DOJ avoids election-timed actions. Rod Rosenstein argued that Comey undermined the DOJ by acting independently, damaging FBI credibility. Trump wrote a letter on May 9, 2017, citing Rosenstein's memo and blaming Comey's Clinton email mishandling for losing public trust. In a May 11, 2017 NBC interview, Trump added that the Russia investigation was a factor in Comey's dismissal, calling it a made-up story, and saying Comey's refusal to clear him publicly was frustrating. These reasons reflect Trump's stated motives, and once again, no one was held accountable. This entire narrative that was contrived by the FBI and its leaders tainted Trump's campaign and presidency by distorting public perception with little basis. It created unwarranted hate of Trump and a derangement syndrome in the minds of many. The 2019 Mueller investigation findings on Trump's involvement revealed that there was no evidence of Trump or campaign criminal conspiracy with Russia. Any contacts, such as Flynn's talking to Svetlana at an event, lacked any illegal intent. Trump's business ties showed no collusion, and that the Steele Dossier claims were unverified. Trump was cleared of collusion, but the obstruction case remained open, though years later, no obstruction has been found. So, in a nutshell, everything that many of us knew has been confirmed in the declassified records related to Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Key FBI leaders, James Comey, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, and Lisa Page, were only a few government officials who conspired to advance a politically driven investigation, fueled in part by the false and libelous Steele Dossier, funded by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. But can anything be done? Under Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, treason is very narrowly defined. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. This means actual warfare, or supporting a declared enemy of the United States like a hostile foreign nation in wartime. The bar is very high, and treason charges are extremely rare. So, what could misuse of FISA to interfere with elections be charged as? If proven, such misconduct could fall under other serious federal crimes, such as abuse of power and deprivation of rights under 18 U.S. Code Section 242. False statements to a court under 18 U.S. Code Section 1001. Obstruction of justice and also conspiracy against rights 18 U.S. Code Section 241. And illegal surveillance or violations of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Depending on the context, conspiring to unlawfully surveil a political opponent could even touch on election interference, but it would not rise to treason unless it involved collaborating with an enemy of the U.S. in wartime. I know the term treason has been thrown around many times, including by Q, so remember that FISA equals the start. There's a lot more that's going to unfold in this movie, so don't give up. Justice will happen, and it's going to be done right. So far, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the Trump administration regarding the deportation of illegal immigrants in spite of the roadblocks being thrown by the left. I know you are anxious, but don't give up. Months or even a year is nothing when you consider that our freedom is at stake. Soon we will discuss military tribunals, so stick with me and I'll catch you up to speed on the continuing saga that will usher us into the Golden Age.